Hi everyone, I've got awesome news for those who've been waiting for Cybertruck. After a long break, it's back on the channel. First we need to continue working on the body, weld absolutely all the joints, make sure all the doors open and finally treat everything and paint the body so that it no longer rusts. Since this is an electric car, there'll be no internal combustion engine here, like some guys who think that they made a one-to-one copy. 80 kilowatt electric motor from Nissan Leaf was purchased for this project. I bought a complete power unit because I managed to find it at a very nice price. Besides, this is a restyling version with an EM57 electric motor. It's smaller and more power efficient, unlike its pre-restyling counterpart EM61. It's also a good practice to add some leads and mounting brackets of the electric motor. To run it we need a pre-restyling inverter. Although at the moment you can find online such cards that run any motor, but I chose the simplest proven variant for myself. At the moment it was possible to start and install it in Tesla. The first step is to weld all the metal sheets to the frame. Next we need to weld all the joints, then they should be cleaned and the edges be aligned. First, that flowed metal should be removed from the seam with a rotary file. The delicate finishing of the edge was carried out with a flap wheel and a portable belt sander. The putty will be used in some places to bring the edges to perfection. No matter how powerful the engine is, it still needs time to rest. Just like me, it only takes one game to collect my thoughts and have a good time. Just the greatest game of all time, Raid Shadow Legends. This is where I discover something new every time. By the way, I like elves in any fantasy story. Well, the elves in the Raid are awesome. They formed civilization like thousands of years ago, surviving orc rampages and the collapse of the Lizardman Empire, which I absolutely want to learn more about someday. Then Suroth got into their heads and created the Dark Elves. These guys were obsessed with power, and they tried to convert the whole kingdom of Erebia to shadow magic. They got caught out though, and the whole kingdom descended into civil war. It was brutal. But in the end the Dark Elves got exiled and Erebia rebuilt as best they could. And they did it pretty well, since now the kingdom of Erebia is the brightest, richest, and most powerful country in the realm of Teleria. Look at my favorite champion marksman. He looks like he's from Lord of the Rings. I find a good archer with high damage, and poison arrows is a great addition to any team. Here I can immerse myself in all the events of the plot, being a direct participant in the events, choosing the right side. And now a completely new faction has been added to the game, the Sylvan Watchers, and these are forest elves, druids, fays, and even real ents. Can't wait to play with them. Plus, in the new Forge Pass season, you can get your hands on some of the top gear in the game. Also, if you are an Amazon Prime member, you can get your exclusive rewards in Raid right now. Join in you. Follow the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen and get unique bonuses worth $30, a free epic champion Aina, 200,000 of silver, 1 energy refill, and 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Start your journey with Raid Shadow Legends. After the preliminary grinding there remained some notches as the welded joint wasn't even, but fortunately they can be easily removed by weld spots. The inner angles, such as those on the splash boards, were a little more difficult to treat. And in the most hard-to-reach places we used a straight grinder. The back is completely finished, now the sides. It took a bunch of wheels to polish the entire Cybertruck, and after all, we got a whole bucket of abrasive. Finally, all the joints are welded and polished, and we can move on to the doors. This type of hinges will be used for the doors. They will be welded, but the doors can always be removed due to the bolted joint. The hinges will be welded to the door through the shaped pipe, and the body pillar will thicken to the door. Now we need to saw the door off the body and try to open it. We didn't manage to reach the shaped pipe normally and saw it off till the end. Because of it, the door cannot open. We have to take it off and remove everything unnecessary separately. Then we welded the door again and tried to open it. The angle began to touch the other door. As it turned out, this happened because the rack was welded vertically on level, and the edge of the door slightly slipped behind the side. So we had to cut everything off and still put the racks along the edges of the door. Now the door opens without any problem and the gap can be set to the minimum. The front door had no longer such problem and the hinges were welded quite easily. The only fact is that it wasn't cut from the general sheet. This needs to be fixed now. At first sight, the openings turned out to be huge, but don't forget that the interior finish will narrow them by a couple of dozens of centimeters. The same process will be proceeded on the other side. Unless it's a fake, Tesla seems to have completely abandoned idea of the outside handles, and the doors will open at a touch or by button. Certainly good news for us. We won't have to make retractable handles, although I've already developed their mechanism. Further, we need to weld the hinges to the hood. For this purpose, a frame will be welded onto the leaf. The hinges will be used from the trunk of some random passenger car. It's convenient that the gas pressure springs can be installed in them and the hood will be fixed open due to them. Everything is almost ready, just some small things are left. The rack protrudes too far outward apace with the glass house. It should be drowned in the body, otherwise the side windows won't be installed as they should be. We also need to weld a small bar under the central headlight and adapt the hood to the body. Now the dirtiest part, to prepare the body for coloring. For a further clean out of the body, we'll need a homemade scissor lift. In order to distribute the load over the frame, we put 2 channel members under it and used an old banner in order not to stain the lift. The scissor lift construction isn't able to lift the car when its bottom fits it closely. There needs to be a little space, then the lift can do its job. We pumped up the front airbags with the compressor and the lift raised the Cybertruck easily. Now we can treat the body and the integrated frame till the end. First we tried to paint the frame with the brushes, but this wasn't much convenient. As a result, the frame was painted with an airbrush. We used a special paint for rust. At first, the body itself will be primed with an acid primer. This is a very smelly and poisonous thing, so you need to use it in a well-ventilated area. It's applied in a very thin layer and after drying is practically invisible. Since it's not a self-consistent primer, it must be covered with an acrylic 2-component primer. There's still some work on the body, and only after it's done we'll move on to a full painting. I still don't know what color to paint it. Maybe I'll even cover it with a mirror film. Therefore it'll look like polished stainless steel. Well, that's all for today. Thanks everyone for your attention. If you like this video, put your thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video, where the electric motor is going to be installed in Tesla.